Hey guys, welcome back to Fairwinds RV. We've spent the last 2 years living and traveling in our RV, and we've learned a lot about full-time RV life. It probably goes without saying, but choosing the right rig to spend all of your time in is essential to making this kind of life work. We've traveled thousands of miles in our 2016 Grand Design 375 RE, and we still absolutely love it. Although we're currently awaiting delivery of our new rig, we thought it was time to show this one off to all of you.
All right guys, so we're standing in the living room of our 2016 Grand Design 375 RE. And the RE stands for rear entertainment. So this is all the way in the back of the rig. It's separate from the rest of the rig, which is what we really like about this RV. So we chose this RV specifically because it had the layout that we were looking for to go full time. What was that? A little over 2 years ago. We knew that we needed a big rig because we needed our space, but we wanted those spaces to be kind of separated from each other. So you're not, you don't feel like you're doing dishes while somebody's, trying to watch TV all in the same room. We really didn't like that concept. So this floor concept really breaks it down and makes it feel more like a home with each individual rooms.
Yes.
And what we're going to do here is we're going to start here in the living room, and then we're just going to work our way forward until you guys have had a chance to see the entire rig. And we'll just tell you what we do and don't like about this rig.
All right, so like we already mentioned, we really liked the fact that the living room is separate. So this gave us a lot of space. We travel with animals. So they have their own space. As you can see, Wicket's bed is there by the fireplace. Something else that this rig came with, which we immediately took out, but each of the opposing slides had its own couch, which folded out into a queen bed. So plenty of sleeping options if you have occasional guests, or even if you have somebody that just wants to sleep in the living room all the time. But we took those out, we made it our own. We brought some furniture from home just so that it just felt more like us. The one negative in here, the positive is all the windows, but the negative is, at least in this year, they've got these honeycomb shades, which are great, but they don't provide any barrier for the heat, really.
And they don't keep much of the light out. It's not like they're blackout shades. They're more just so people can't see in at night. What I really like about this is it feels like just a kind of a normal living room like you would have in your own house. And sometimes it's actually hard to find seating that actually faces the TV, which was really important to us at the time, and it's still really important, especially to me. So having a rig with the seats really, directly across from the TV was super important to me. So as you can see back here, I don't know if you can tell, that TV is on a televator, and that's nice because you can, just get that thing down out of the way when you're going down the road. But the other thing is that's not so nice is when it's up, there's actually another big window behind there, and when it's up, you don't get to, get all that light and, just see what's out there because that TV's in the way. And then one thing that we really didn't like about this space though is, if you can see back here, the slides are raised. That's a pretty good height difference there. That's probably a good 2 inches, 2.5 inches. When we first moved in here and we were both still working, I was still working from home, and I tried to put my office in this slide right over here, but the problem with that was I could never get my chair actually up underneath of the desk without putting the chair all the way down, lifting it up, and then rolling it up underneath of the desk. So for us, we really don't like how these slides are raised so much in here. The new rig that we have on order, fortunately in the living room, it is still elevated a little bit, but you don't have this huge gap like that, which I think is just a little bit nicer. The other thing that we don't like is that it's carpet. We don't like carpet in here at all. We would prefer to just have, the linoleum or whatever it is that's down here. Carpet in these things isn't real great, and it just kind of gets nasty after a while.
Especially if you have pets, it's just hard to keep clean. So yeah, we're just gonna We're just gonna use accent rugs and make sure that they're washable.
Yeah. Also, as you can see in the background here, this room has a ton of storage as well. So we have all these cabinets across the top, and we don't have them full. There's a decent bit of stuff in there, but there's still room for stuff. And then I think the last thing to talk about in here is the fireplace. So, I mean, we only live in a 400 and something square foot unit. So the fireplace, you know, when we get up in the morning, that's the first thing we do pretty much is we turn that fireplace on. If it's cool outside, you know, maybe in the 40s or low 50s. And we can use that thing to really just warm up the living room and kitchen area, which is where we're gonna spend most of our mornings here. So unless it gets super cold, there's really no need to even turn that furnace on, because that heater does a really good job of heating these two spaces in here, which is where we spend the most of our time. All right, so as you can see here, by looking into both of the slides on either side of me here, neither one of these, like Candace said earlier, have the original couches on them. And what I'm getting at here is that you don't have to take these things as they come. You can feel free to redesign and reimagine the inside of this thing as much as you want. So we don't have the couches in here, but we've made it work for us. So just keep that in mind if you're looking at a rig and you think, man, this is the perfect layout for us, but I don't like the fact that there's, you know, 3 couches in the living room. Well, there don't have to be 3 couches in the living room. You can make that look and feel however you want it to look and feel.
All right, I really like to cook, and so the kitchen is kind of an important spot for me. I do not like to feel cramped in the kitchen. I like to have lots of counter space, and this kitchen kind of is almost perfect for us. We've got this huge island, which gives lots of counter space, especially when you put these sink covers on. Nice deep sinks, which is important for those bigger pots and pans.
Stink bugs, guys. It stinks in there. Anyway.
Does it?
Yeah, it's gross.
The other thing is we've got this bar as well, which we currently use it kind of as a catch-all when we walk in the door. It's also our kind of drinks bar sometimes, but this is just extra counter space that we can use for this, that, or the other. There's counter space over there that's used for our coffee bar. And then right behind Jeremy is the stove area. And if you're not actively using the stove, then I just keep these covers on, and then that gives you additional prep space. A lot of times if I'm using my Instant Pot, I will put it over there, get it out of the way, and then I can use this whole area just for prep. The microwave is a big feature. We love it. It's got the convection option. This is an RV oven, which is small, it's hard to light. We really don't use it anymore.
The refrigerator in this unit is
never cold.
Never cold, right? So it's a Norcold unit, it's a Norcold 2118. We have a similar but different problem than most people. So most people are not able to maintain a good temperature in their refrigerator. I've seen a lot of Facebook posts where guys have their refrigerators hanging out like in the mid 40s, which is not good. But their freezer is fine. Well, we're different. I could get this refrigerator down probably to the mid 20s if I wanted to, but the freezer is never really gonna go down below, I don't know, about 10 or 12 degrees. So we can't keep any food in here, like meats, that are gonna spoil for any, you know, prolonged period of time.
We primarily use the freezer for bread storage and ice. Ice is okay.
Yeah, but even then, you get in there sometimes and the ice won't be really frozen. And not only that, but even if this is at 23 degrees in here, that ice that you normally put in your drink is around 0 degrees. So it's a lot colder. It makes your drink colder. So when this thing is, you know, 10 or 15 degrees or sometimes even 20 degrees, those ice cubes they're not as cold. And you don't really think anything about it until you stick a quote unquote warm ice cube in your drink, especially if it's like a bourbon or something.
All right, so because I like to cook, it means I also have a lot of pantry items, and having a dedicated pantry is huge. I do not like storing pantry stuff in cabinets. So this unit comes with a full-size pantry, top to bottom, and it'll fit a lot of stuff. It's really deep. As you can see, we keep it fairly full, and this is honestly not as full as it normally is because we are stationary and there's a lot of stuff over at my father-in-law's place. So this gives me lots of space to just get everything in one spot and keep it all contained in one area.
Yeah, and it's got rails on the sides, on the walls on the left and right, so you can actually adjust those shelves to any height you want in there. Now, the system that they chose to put these shelves on is not great. Sometimes you got to mess with them to keep the shelves from falling down when you're going down the road, but it is adjustable so that you can put those shelves at any height you want them in there. All right, so let's talk about these drawers over here. While it's great having these drawers, they're super deep. These things are probably about 8 inches deep, and there's no separation or shelving or anything in there. So you put your utensils in here. This is mostly like, you know, spatulas and, you know, pizza cutters and, you know, that kind of stuff. And your stuff gets lost in there. So you just find yourself rummaging around trying to figure out, you know, what it is that you're looking for in the first place, because it's just chaos in there. We never did it. We probably could have. You could probably separate this thing out, maybe make some, I don't know, some kind of partitions in there to clean it up a little bit, but it was just something we never got around to.
Yeah, I would have preferred, if they were going to put drawers here, which I do really like, that instead of 3 taller drawers, that they maybe gave us 5 shallower drawers. Because, like I said, this is a big kitchen. I like cooking. I've got a lot of utensils. And so where do you put them? So a shallower drawer just would have been so much more usable.
And then up here, we've got some more storage space. The right-hand side of this is mostly just coffee stuff, and we keep some cups in there. To be honest with you, I couldn't name what's behind those 2 doors over there. I don't know that we get in there very often, but it is storage. It's nice to have. And all these doors, you look at them, you say, oh my gosh, they're glass. You know, you're going down the road at 65 miles an hour. These doors stay shut really well. I mean, we do put bungee cords on them, but how often have you ever seen one of these doors come open underway?
Only the ones on the back. I never secure these doors. I only secure those, and we've only had them come open twice.
Yeah, and
the bungee cord has kept them closed.
Yeah, and that's really like going down a really, really bad road.
Yeah.
And then behind Candace over here, she kind of pointed out earlier, I love that we have a coffee bar. I love that it's kind of just out in the open. It doesn't have to be tucked away in some corner, you know, underneath some cabinet where we got to pull the dang thing out every time we want to use it. So I really like this space right here, just for nothing else, just that coffee bar.
And it's conveniently located. The seats that we sit in to watch TV are right on the other side, and so when we're done with a snack, we just kind of reach over the back and put it on the counter, and we don't even have to get up.
This is where our dinette used to be. It wasn't a dinette, it was actual, you know, dining room table with 4 chairs. And we took that out pretty much right away because we knew that we didn't need that. The first thing that we did was we put a breakfast nook in here, so it was kind of a higher table, and we had some bar stools that went underneath of it. And it was really nice to just kind of sit there in the morning, you know, and eat your breakfast, especially if you had a nice view out of this window. The problem was that we only used that thing like maybe 5 to 10 minutes a day, and that was it. And we never used it for anything else. So like I said before, I used to have my office in the living room with that raised slide, which wasn't working out very well. So we just decided to completely do away with any kind of a kitchen table at all. And this is where I moved my desk to. And the really nice thing about moving it over here was that the slide is not raised as much as it is in there. It's actually not raised at all if you don't count the little lip of the carpet. So I'm able to get my chair in and out, you know, slides in and out nice and easy. So this was just a perfect space for me to put my office. And even though I'm not working full time anymore, I do a lot of video editing, and I'm able to have a nice setup over here. I've got my laptop with 2 extra monitors on a nice big desk that fits in this nice big slide where our kitchen table used to be. And then over here you can see we have a sliding glass door. This is really nice because it lets in so much natural light, but it can also be a pain in the neck. It's not sealed very well. It's never going to be sealed very well because it's in a 40-foot, you know, trailer that's going down the road all the time. So in the wintertime, it lets a lot of cold air in, and in the summertime, it lets a lot of hot air in, especially if you keep the shade up, because that light coming through that glass is just super, super hot. So that's the downside to having a huge sliding glass window in the living room area. But it is a favorite spot for the animals to hang out and look outside at all the little chipmunks and squirrels going by.
Another huge thing that we didn't realize really until we hit the road was when we are traveling down the road and we decide to take a break and have lunch, we still have access to the right side of the refrigerator and freezer. I can also have access to this drawer and with a little bit of work down here, and so I just make sure that all of our lunch stuff is over here on the right. I put some silverware and plates and whatnot in the drawer so we have access. And by carefully climbing on top of the island, we also have access to the microwave because of our EcoFlow system. Jeremy just makes sure that that's set up, and then we can run the microwave and heat stuff up. So that's a big feature for this rig that not all rigs have. Our new rig, we have no access to the kitchen on drive days, so we're gonna have to completely rethink how we do drive days. All right, so moving on through, heading towards the front, we've got our bathroom. So some features to kind of point out. We've got 2 medicine cabinet areas. We've got this one, and then this one is actually accessible also in the bedroom, which we'll show you in a minute. But we have things like the ibuprofen that we use almost on a daily basis. One of the aesthetic features that we kind of like but don't is this nice bowl sink. I would prefer that it be a little bit more multicolored to hide all the water spots. Those are very hard to deal with, and we are constantly battling them. A negative is the mirror. I can only see down to my chin, which means to do my hair, I have to go into the bedroom and use the big full-size mirrors. Even Jeremy says that it's a little bit too high. Easy fix, we just haven't done it in 2 years. Our intention was to lower the mirror and just make it more functional, but that was a drawback when they put it in. Shower, I've always thought it was fairly standard, but after looking at some people's showers, this is actually fairly big. We definitely have enough elbow room. I like the shelves on each side. We've purchased these shower caddies to keep all of our stuff. I just pop everything in there on drive days and nothing has ever fallen out. Other than that, like I said, it's a fairly decent sized bathroom. I don't have a linen closet in here, so most of our toiletries, our extra toiletries and linens have to go in the bedroom. But other than that, it's fairly decent. Right, so the bedroom, just like the bathroom, is fairly standard. It's not terribly large, but it's not ridiculously small either. We don't spend a lot of time in here, honestly, pretty much just for sleeping, so it's not really that big of a deal. One feature that I really like, we've got this big wall here, but they've broken it up with this cabinet slash almost bookcase shelving unit, which is nice. And so we have found these collapsible totes that fit perfectly in each spot, and each one kind of serves its purpose. One of them's got extra toiletries, one of them's got extra medications, and so that's just kind of nice. It helps to break up this wall. And then this serves as my bedside table. Jeremy doesn't really have one, but on either side of the bed, we only have a queen size bed, and so you could easily probably attach some little shelves beside the bed for your phone, your chapstick, whatever it is that you want at night. But like I said, I just use this, and then Jeremy's got a magnetic holder for his phone, so that works for us.
The only thing that I don't like about this bedroom is this space right here, this little walk area. It's very narrow. I'd say it's maybe 18 inches, maybe, I don't know, 18 to 24 inches over here. So when we're both in the bedroom trying to get dressed in the morning, it gets a little bit crowded over here. And the big reason for that is because the slide over here at the head of the bed is not very deep. A lot of the rigs with this same setup with the bedroom in front, their slides are about 12 to 18 inches deeper. So that really provides a lot more room over here between the end of the bed and the dresser. Okay, standard, you know, most bedrooms have a TV in it, so I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time there. It's not a great TV, at least the one that came with this unit. But what we really like about this over here is this dresser is huge. This is like a normal dresser that you would have in your house, maybe even bigger than any dresser that we've ever had.
And lots of space on the top. You know, we've got a lamp, a fan, we've got our white noise machine. You could really fill this up if you wanted. We tend to keep it fairly sparse. Jeremy doesn't like a lot of clutter, neither do I really. But yeah, we've got a lot of space in here. All right, and finally, we've got the closet. So most rigs that have the closet in the nose, they're probably fairly standard, but you've got this nice clothes rack here that holds quite a bit. We've never had it collapse. It's really securely attached. Jeremy's got about this much, and I've got the rest. But this rig was set up for a washer and dryer if you want them, which we did. And we chose to get just the combo unit, so the washer dryer combo, so we're only using half the space. Had we not done that, the dryer would have gone over here, and I would have lost this other rack of clothing space. But as it is, we went ahead and put the combo unit over here. Jeremy got it plumbed up. He cut the hole in the side of the rig for the vent, and We now have a washer and dryer. I don't really like using laundromats and trying to find a clean one in whatever area we're in, and I just don't like doing it, so this really fits our needs. All right, so and behind all of these clothes, we have a pretty extensive shelving unit in the back. It goes pretty much side to side. There's 3 shelves, mostly my shoes, but Jeremy has a few in there. Don't let him fool you. But that's really good for shoe storage. I normally keep our laundry supplies in there when we are sitting somewhere, but it's really good storage. It's definitely helpful when you're full-time and you have a lot of stuff. All right, so this bed is fairly standard. So most RVs, the bed lifts up. It's on hydraulic hinges, and you've got your under the bed storage. One of the features of at least the Solitude and Momentum lines that I've seen in the Grand Design, I'm not sure about other manufacturers, but they include this kind of cool ottoman. So this pulls out, you've got extra storage. We keep things like extra blankets, some of my pots and pans that don't really fit in certain cabinets that I don't use very often. You've also got this kind of tray up top that you can put smaller things on. That's nice. The negative, though, is we've seen other units where they have squared off these corners. Ours, they have angled them off, which is great to keep you from stubbing your toe, but it makes storing things in there a little bit difficult because it's not a square space. So positive, negative, take it as it is. So overall, we really like the bedroom. The bed is very comfy. The people before us had switched out the mattress. That's a big thing. When you're looking at an RV, more than likely, the mattress that comes straight from the factory is garbage. You're not gonna be able to sleep on it. So it's not the biggest bedroom in the world, but it does have lots of light, just like the rest of the rig. So overall, we really like this bedroom, and it just fits our needs.
All right, guys, so I'm gonna wrap this tour up with just a few words about the outside. There's nothing extravagant or really weird about the outside of this RV as compared to other fifth wheels, but I just wanted to point out a couple of things and show just a couple of upgrades that I've done that's made traveling with this thing a lot more enjoyable. So the first thing here is this storage area, the pass-through. This is not the biggest pass-through that you're gonna find out there, and it really doesn't allow us to carry all of the things that we would like to carry with us when we're on the road. As a matter of fact, many of the things that we take with us actually go in the back of the truck. Mostly my tools, I'd say about 85 to 90% of the tools that I have, I keep them in the toolbox in the back of my truck when we're traveling because there's just not enough room to put it in here. Now, just like every other fifth wheel, it does have the front storage area as well, but again, it's just not very big. And that's where we put our totes that hold all of the things that we don't really need on a day-to-day basis, but we do need to have them with us. So again, there is that front storage area as well, but in my opinion, if you're full-timing in one of these things, the pass-through and that front storage area, they're just not big enough to carry all the things that you need. Now again, this is the 2016 version of the Solitude 375 RE. The newer versions of this rig actually have a raised floor in that rear living area, and then up underneath of that floor is just nothing but storage. So they've added quite a bit of storage to the later versions of the 375. The next thing I want to point out here is actually kind of a strange story, but it's concerning this pin box. So this last spring, I came across some information that hinted that my pin box at the time and my hitch in the back of the truck were not compatible. The pin box was a Curt Rotoflex and the hitch in the back of my truck was a Curt A20. There was something about how they weren't compatible with each other going down the road, and it might actually cause the two to disconnect. So I contacted Curt, who referred me over to Lippert. I explained the situation to them. They did a little bit of research, and they were gracious enough to send me this upgraded Curt Air Ride pin box at no cost. It was a pretty simple swap out. It was just a matter of taking the old one down and putting the new one back up in its place. That's really all there was to it. Now, it is pretty heavy. I think the new one weighed about 110 pounds, so it's best if you can get a hand with that. But I just wanted to point this out because since putting this pin box in here, the ride has been dramatically better on this rig. I don't notice as much chucking anymore. We know that there's less movement inside of the RV because we just don't get as many things moving around on travel days. So this was a huge improvement to the ride of this RV. The last thing I'll point out here about the outside is another upgrade that I did very early on, and that was to install an upgraded suspension system. I'll be honest with you, I don't think that the shackles that come with these things originally are nearly sufficient enough for the beating that these RVs take when they're going down the roads. With those shackles, all of that movement on the axles when you're going down the road and you hit those potholes and those bumps in the roads, that movement is transferred from one axle to the other, or from one axle to the frame. It just really beats up the RV as it's going down the road. So I opted to install the Roadmaster slipper springs and shock absorbers. Now, I'll be honest with you, I only towed this thing one time before upgrading the suspension, but even with that, I noticed a huge difference in the way this RV responded when I hit all those bumps and potholes on the road. Again, just like the pin box, I just noticed there was a lot less chucking and bouncing around of the RV in general once I got this upgraded suspension on. And again, this wasn't a terribly difficult upgrade to do. It took me about 2 days to do it, but again, it wasn't a difficult installation. For those of you who may be considering upgrading your suspension, but don't want to spend all that money on the MoreRide independent suspension, I think this is a great alternative, and it comes at about not even a third of the price of that MoreRide independent suspension. And I'll go ahead and put a link down below in the description area so you can check it out yourself. All right guys, thanks for hanging out with us today, and we really hope you enjoyed the tour of our RV.
And as always, if you like this video, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Happy camping and stay safe out there.